Welcome to AG's Ace. There is an open war in the Javelin camp just before the Tokyo Olympics. Extremely unfortunate. It should not have happened. It could have been better handled, but it's just falling apart. Let's take a look at why it's happening and what could be the possible repercussions, because India has an excellent chance of winning a medal in this important event. So, first of all, India's javelin throw coach, Uwe Horn, says the country's top sports organizations, the Sports Authority of India, SAI, and Athletics Federation of India, AFI, did not do enough to prepare athletes for the mega event at Tokyo. He gave a special interview to the Indian Express, and the 58-year-old German, who's the only man to throw the javelin over 100 meters, and the coach behind Indian star Neeraj Chopra's rise, said training for the Olympics was unplanned and diet not fit for elite athletes. And he said, is this the right setting for an important event? And what I want to ask is the Sports Minister Kiren Rijiju listening to this, and is he initiating some action before it just gets worse and worse? So what really happened? So in the interview, Uwe Horn said he alleged that he was blackmailed into signing a contract he wasn't happy with. According to Horn, the only reason Neeraj Chopra could travel to Europe, where he's training now for the competitions and leading up to the games, was because of JSW Sports, which is a sports promoter that supports the Asian and Commonwealth gold medal winner. Speaking more on the conditions at NIS Patiala, where he's currently based, and where Chopra had been training before leaving for Europe, Horn said, the temperatures in Patiala are pretty extreme, and we can only practice early in the morning or after 6 p.m. It is difficult to keep the motivation up in these conditions. Also, recovery needs much longer time than when compared to the weather conditions in Europe now. So basically, he's talking about the extreme heat in Patiala, while they should have been training in the salubrious conditions in Europe, where Neeraj is already there. And while Neeraj is not training with Horn, he's switched his coach, but the others are training, and Shivpal is one of them who is already qualified for the Olympics. So when you look at the overall parameter, it's not a very happy situation. So it's indicative of the fact that Neeraj has an advantage over the others. Now, Horn is currently in Patiala with javelin thrower Shivpal Singh, who has qualified for the Olympics. He said that even target Olympic podium scheme athletes, or the tops athletes, medal contenders handpicked by the sports ministry, struggle to get dietary supplements. This is what Horn is saying. And he wouldn't be saying this if he wasn't really convinced. And having met Horn earlier, I'll come more to that later. He is a man who doesn't mince words. He's pretty blunt. And of course, he's a legend of the javelin throw. Now, speaking about his 3.5-year stint in India, Horn said that when I came here, I thought I could change something, but it's probably too difficult with these people at SAI or AFI. I don't know if it's lack of knowledge or ignorance. Beside, camps or competitions, even when we ask via our nutritionist for supplements for our athletes, we don't get the right stuff. Not even for tops athletes. If we get something, we are very happy. It's pretty disparaging there. He also blamed the authorities for allegedly going back on their word on his contract. That involves money, so it's between Horn and the AFI and the SI. I don't want to get into that, but he clearly says, he used strong words like they were blackmailed into signing. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been even paid their salaries. Those are extreme words coming from him. Unfortunate at this time, but that's for the authorities to basically look at it. Two of the country's top javelin throwers, including the Olympic-bound Shivpal Singh, they have now alleged, they have hit back after his Indian Express interview, and they have said that Uwe Horn also trains foreign athletes when the Indian team travels abroad for exposure tours. Now, that's clearly in violation of the rules. That is an allegation. Shivpal says, and another Tokyo Games hopeful, Anurani, they said Horn is more interested in training abroad due to certain reasons. He also trains some other foreign athletes when we are overseas, ignoring us, the duo said in a statement. Asked when exactly they had seen Horn train foreign athletes, Shivpal and Anu told PTI, the news agency, that it was in 2019 when we were training in Poland. Horn says this was a blatant lie. He said that his partner, who is an Australian woman who is a gold medalist also in the javelin event, a pretty well-known person, and he said that she was training there, happened to be training at Potchefstroom and also in Finland. And that is where he had in fact invited her to speak to the Indian athletes, because she's very proficient in biomechanics. So he says by issuing this statement, it shows immense disrespect not only to him, but to his partner, who is a professional athlete. And what I believe is that all of this at this time has just torn the fabric completely. Now, the interesting part is that Horn was appointed the javelin coach in November 2017, more so because he wanted to train Neeraj Chopra, who is the star India athlete, who is a gold medal prospect if he manages to get anywhere there, although he has very stiff competition from two other gentlemen in that event. But he is a medal prospect. So Horn wanted to basically look after Neeraj, coach him, and take him to a different level. And it is under Horn that Neeraj performed very well so far. Yet, Chopra, who is now an Olympic medal hopeful, has switched over the last year and a half to another coach who is the biomechanical expert, Klaus Bartonietz, and he's now coaching with him. Anu said she did not train under Horn because of his working style, and she felt that the moment she met Horn, he tried to push her very hard on a throwing style. Horn, of course, had his own thing to say, and after that, they don't train together, which is again unfortunate. Now, I met Uwe Horn with Neeraj Chopra at the Ekamra Sports Lit Fest at Bhubaneswar a couple of years ago. Horn clearly was the strong silent type, with English not being his fluent language. He was a pretty quiet guy, tall, tough kind of guy. Neeraj seemed in awe of his coach as he was performing well under his tutelage. For Horn, the only man to throw the javelin over 100 meters, the incentive to take up the India job was the opportunity to coach Neeraj. When he set the national record of 88.06 meters, Horn's target was to ensure Chopra breaks the 90-meter mark. The decision to swap coaches was taken by the AFI after taking feedback from Neeraj Chopra sometime later. It was done to ensure that Chopra was at ease as he tried to qualify for the Olympics. So clearly, there was a signal from Neeraj too that he wanted to swap coaches. Horn may have a tough workload approach, which may not go down too well with many. Neeraj himself suggested that. Anu Rani never liked Horn's approach, while the coach said she could not even throw a javelin when he met her. Those are harsh words, but it just shows his no-nonsense approach. One thing is sure, Shivpal and Anu would never have the gumption to speak to the media against Horn without the blessings of the AFI and SAI. This is an open wound now. Going into Tokyo, one wonders what the end result will be. Thanks for watching AG's Ace.